to this. So again, before we begin, as always, like I was saying, this session will be recorded so that it is available to be shared with other people who couldn't be here for whatever reason. So it's part of our community to disseminating accurate information that can help prevent future compliances. We make these recordings available to the broader community. So if you don't follow us on social media, make sure that you do. These recordings go onto YouTube, so make sure that you know where to find it if you ever need it. Uh, Again, let me encourage that if you are going to participate, refrain from sharing personally identifying information during the session. You are welcome to keep your camera off. You are also welcome to use a nickname or a pseudonym if you choose to ask a question. Or not to use a name at all. That is okay. And if your question involves personal facts that cannot be discussed publicly, we encourage you to seek a private consultation with a qualified attorney. It is really, really important that you do that. And I know that sometimes people are concerned about, hey, lawyers are expensive. You know what? It's better you pay for that initial consult at least so that you can at least have some information that you can run with rather than allowing yourself to be guided by what your friends are experiencing or what you are researching. May everybody please mute yourselves. What you are researching on the internet, because it could be you could end up going on a rabbit hole that will cause you problems in the future. So every immigration case is unique, and if your situation requires guidance, it is important that you speak directly with an attorney. That said, glory to God. Once again, we are honored to have Ms. Heather and Mr. Nils who are joining us and have generously shared their time and are going to also generously share their expertise with our community. These guys, let me just say this. These two people are busy, especially in this season. And therefore, we don't take lightly their availability. And also, it's not always that you see attorneys sacrificing their time, their family time, their weekend time, their billable hours time to come and really participate in some of these discussions. Most people will say, just come to my office, pay my bill, and I will do this. But these two individuals have been amazing in our community in helping us navigate around what's going on as far as immigration is concerned. Now, Attorney Heather is an experienced immigration attorney who has helped individuals and families navigate complex immigration matters across a wide range of immigration pathways. Thank you so much once again, Ms. Heather, for joining us today. Then Mr. Nils uh, is joining us. He is a federal policy manager with African Communities Together. Mr. Nils works closely on immigration policy matters and community advocacy efforts, and he brings a valuable perspective on how policy developments translate into real-world impacts for the immigrant communities. So thank you once again, Mr. Nils, for joining us today. So let's begin with the topic that has generated a significant amount of discussion within the immigrant communities over the past several weeks. The number one at the top of our list, the 39 country restriction. So, question to you, Ms. Heather. Many people have heard about the 39 country restrictions, and we have talked about it to an extent prior here, what it was then, what the government was thinking about, and which countries, and so forth. But there has been some developments that have happened ever since. So my question to you is, could you help us understand what exactly is this policy? Who is affected by this 39 country restriction, and what does it mean in practical terms to us? Are there implications for travel, for visas, or any immigration benefits? Let's start there.
Okay, so we all know that we can say around late 2025 and early 2026, USCIS implemented this policy that effectively posed adjudication on many immigration benefits for nationals of 39 designated countries, while additional vetting and security reviews were conducted. And Zimbabwe was one of those affected countries. There were other countries, we can go through the whole list, but we don't have a lot of time. There might be other people in the audience that are not from Zimbabwe, but if you
Okay.
have been following the news, you should know if your country is there. If you do not, we can definitely have a discussion about it. But I also wanted to stress with what Pastor T has said that this is just information. It's not legal advice. And, if you need more specific information, I would really highly recommend that you consult an attorney. So that's the disclaimer there. So as we all know, these were partial ban countries. But I always say that even though it was a partial ban, we see that literally a lot of things have stopped. It has affected a lot of our community. I have clients that are waiting, that we filed for such things as, marriage-based petitions, where the spouse is outside the country and the citizen is here. And it seemed like the process was moving and then it just stopped. There were no more updates. It just stopped. And this has happened even with asylum applications. We have even people that have derivatives. They were successful in their asylum applications. They have their derivatives that are still in their countries, but they have not been able to move forward with that. It used to take very little time for them to be approved for their, loved ones to come to the country. So there's a lot we can go into this. The one other thing that I just want to say is that we know that on June 5, a federal court then struck down this pause on adjudications, and I'm sure Mr. Nils is going to go into that, but we just want to the judge basically invalidated the suspended or delayed decisions on a lot of petitions, and but it's a tug of war right now because we know that initially the USCIS then filed a motion with the courts to say, hey, we need clarification. What do you want us to do? And then yesterday we see that USCIS then sent another communication from the newsroom and basically said, okay, we will go with it. But meanwhile, they filed an appeal. So this is where we are at. And so does that mean that the USCIS is going to start adjudicating and working on those cases? I'm very skeptical, even though there is the decision that
Door
was
open.
made. I'm very skeptical that there is going to be a lot of traction, a lot of movement, but it is still a step forward. So I will not say that it doesn't mean that, nothing is going to happen. And I'm sure Mr. Niels is going to go into that. Um, and the other thing, I just written a few notes because I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave anything.
Mm.
The one thing that I will say, I know in our last meeting, Pastor, we had students, F1 students, and my heart really goes to each and everyone. If we have you in the audience, if you're waiting for your OPT, or, my prayers really go to you because you're in limbo. You don't know what the future holds, and it's very frustrating. And I've even seen on social media yesterday, I saw somebody who was saying that they're going into depression, but the community was just rallying with her and just saying, you know what, just stay positive. And it's hard. It is difficult out there, and I really, really feel for everybody. The one thing that I want to say for students with pending OPT or STEM OPT is you need to keep checking the current USCIS case status. You need to do that diligently. Do not just say, I'm just tired of this. Just keep checking. And make sure that you have whatever it is that you filed, whatever it is that you have, make sure you have it where it's accessible. If you move, please change your address. Make sure that you always have your address updated. Do not just say, it will take care of itself. Just do your due diligence. If your case has been pending well beyond normal processing times, consider a service request. Um, if there has been a lengthy delay attributable to the adjudication pause, try and consult counsel and see if there's anything that they can do in terms of a follow-up with USCIS. The other thing that I would just say that at this moment, I would say just avoid unnecessary travel because the separate travel restrictions and visa issuance issues may still affect you on re-entry. The other thing that we must also note is that this decision by the judge was more on the processing, the holds. It wasn't that the travel ban was completely banned. So that's where we're at right now.
Mhm. Thank you, Miss Heather. And Attorney Nils, you can also jump into this. Are green card holders affected by this 39 country ban or semi-ban?
Oh, should I go? All right.
Sure.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Pastor T. Thank you, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here in community with you all. So we hope that the discussion today is informative and helpful, especially to those who are navigating their immigration journey here in the U.S. All right. Thank you again, my colleague Heather, for covering the like the latest on the travel ban or the adjudication pause. What I would say here, and then the way I like to break it down is that so there is a ban for people that are outside the US. And then there is also a ban for people that are inside the US. So that is very important to know. Now, for people that are outside the US, and I want to do this very quickly, there is this chart. I think I might have shared this in previous sessions.
I believe you did. Let
Um,
me give you
access.
access.
Okay, I think I have access. All right.
Okay, you do.
So my organization we put together this chart and I hope you can see my screen.
Mm.
So and this is for people that are outside the US. So the way we broke it down for people that are outside the US, so there are two categories of a travel ban. The first one is based on national security, and then the second one is based on public charge. The one based on national security is essentially that the government is saying that people from these countries are a national risk, a national threat, a national security threat, and therefore we are suspending their entry into the US. And there are 39 countries total, but 26 countries, including 26 African countries. And here you can see the full list of the countries, the African countries, because this chart focuses on African countries.
Mm,
So also, the subcategory here is the full ban and then the partial ban. Full ban is full entry restriction, and partial ban is a partial entry restriction. Again, this is for people outside the US. For fully banned countries, people from fully banned countries are not able to enter the US, and people from partially banned countries, they can enter the US only with certain visas, right? So people from partially banned countries cannot get any visas or enter with any visa that allow them to live permanently in the U.S., but they're allowed to enter or get certain visas, including B, visitor visa, F, student, M and J visas. And then also there is the public charge travel ban. This is actually even wider in terms of the impact. So 75 countries are banned under this one. And so this is mainly for immigrant visas, right? So people who are applying to come to the US to get a green card, and 26 African countries are affected. Now, I'll share this chart and then you can review it. But um, this is something that I wanted to quickly touch on. Now, now let's go back to the travel, the adjudication pause or the ban or for people that are inside the US. Now, the green card, to answer your question, Pastor T, green
mm,
card application was included in this type of ban.
mm,
And now, Attorney Heather spoke about the decision in this court, this the decision from the court, this lawsuit. And we're very grateful for this decision. My organization, African Communities Together, actually supported the lawsuit, and we were a plaintiff, an organizational plaintiff in this lawsuit. So basically, what this decision does, it struck down the processing pause, adjudication pause. Um, so and this is something that Ms. Heather articulated, indicated that we do not fully trust or believe that the government will fully comply. They actually indicated in their announcements that they strongly disagree with this decision, but they will try to follow the terms of this decision. So we're not sure if they will fully comply. However, and then also, they've also indicated that they intend to appeal this decision. What we have been advising our community members is that this is actually a good time for you to follow up with USCIS on your pending application, right?
mm,
Before we get another, it's possible when they appeal, it's possible for the government to ask the judge from the higher court to pause or stay the decision of the judge from the lower court, right?
mm.
So before we get to, hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't get that. But if that becomes the case, then the ban could be reinstated. So this is a good time for you to follow up on your pending application. And then also, if you can, if you're working with an attorney, this is a good time to, nudge them so that they can file an inquiry with USCIS. There are a few ways that you can do that. You can call them, you can do that online on USCIS website. You can do that through your member of Congress. So please do that. And also pay attention to the response, right? If you get a response saying that, well, there is an adjudication pause, then we know that's proof that they're not complying, supposed to comply. Please, we would like to see it, especially for our organization, since we are plaintiff on this lawsuit. We would like to see it if the government, brings up this policy that is now struck down by the court. So please, if you see any response mentioning processing pause or adjudication pause, please share it with Pastor T, and Pastor T can relay it to us. So that's very important. Um, and so this applies to asylum, green card application, and all other applications. However, I should note here that this only applies to the ban for people inside the US. There is actually another lawsuit challenging the ban for people that are outside the US. So it's very important. We should avoid that, trying to clear that confusion here. And also, this decision strikes down another policy or practice where DHS or USCIS announced that they will reopen cases, especially for refugees who entered like between the last administration and this administration. They indicated there was a policy that ask USCIS officers to reopen those cases. And that policy has also been struck down by this decision, right? So it's important to keep that in mind. So two things I'll say here: follow up on your pending application, and this does not this applies to people in the US, and this court decision does not apply to people outside the US. And if you get a response from USCIS mentioning adjudication pause, let us know. Thank you.
Yeah, let us know before you take any action. Because once you have taken certain action, sometimes those actions are not reversible. So make sure you reach out before you take any action. So one of the confusing things with this ban, this 39 country ban, is it's kind of two-pronged too, right? So when we are talking about travel, we have questions like, am I still able to travel internationally? And then also, am I still able to travel within the confines of the US? Could you attach on that a little bit? Either one of you could do that.
I can start,
Sure.
Heather. Yeah.
Mm.
So, travel within the US, it's a tricky thing, right? Like, I mean, we understand there were concerns a few months ago, especially when there was an increased ICE presence at airport. And there was increased fear within our communities. Here's what I would say, right? If you're traveling, you go through TSA, right? And TSA is part of DHS. ICE is part of DHS. So it's the same people, same department. So this is what I would tell people. So I mean, they share information constantly. So, if you're trying to avoid ICE, but you're going through TSA, I mean, you are not, you're still in the same circle. So,
Mm.
that is what I would say. As far as, and Miss Heather might add more to that. As far as international travel, I mean, I've not seen any attorney that's encouraging international travel now.
Yeah.
All of us are discouraging international travel because there's actually there is more restrictions now, like with the Ebola situation. I know Ebola is not impacting a lot of the African countries, but there are African countries that are impacted, and now there is Ebola restrictions or restrictions related to the Ebola outbreak. So And even for people who have travel authorization or advanced parole. I mean, I've read in the news instances where, people were travel authorization or advanced parole being denied entry. So, um, work with an attorney, but, most of the attorneys are advising against travel. Uh, so.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, I agree with what Attorney Nils has said. Yeah, if you can, just lay low for now, because you don't know, you might be the lucky one. Sometimes what happens and what I've seen on some groups is that they will say, well, I never had any problems. I traveled, I came back, I came in nicely. That was you, but it might not be the other person. So that what I also say, apart from what I would suggest, is do not, if you do not need to, do not do unnecessary trouble. I
Mm.
mean, look at what happened to the FIFA referee. He had a visa. He got here. Guess what happened? He had to turn back.
Yeah.
So, you might be that casualty. So don't take a chance, unless if you really have to. Just use your own wisdom. One thing that I will also say is an attorney is not there to make the decision for you. An attorney is there to give you advice.
Mm.
People come to me all the time and they say, okay, what should I do? And I say, we are not trained to tell people what to do. We are told to counsel. That's why we are called counselors. We are not if I give you option A and B, you listen to what I have to say, and then you make a decision, an informed decision based on what you have been told.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So for those of you who are posting questions in the chat, I just wanted to clarify something. When you post and you see a thumbs up next to your post, it's just me acknowledging that I've seen you. I am not answering your question. Okay. We will come to answering the question, but I wanted to make sure that you are aware that I am aware that you have posted that particular question. So, I'm waiting for someone who was asking for clarity in regards to local travel, whether or not people should, is it still okay for people to be traveling, which Attorney Nils, you kind of touched on it, to just be aware that TSA and ICE are one and the same. They just are called they're just two different departments, but they are within um, the same organization. So this person was saying they didn't quite get that. I'm not sure what they didn't quite get.
Well,
Traveling from one state to the other, if you are on an F1 visa and with a pending OPT application. Attorney Niels, I think you and I this week we talked about this a little bit regarding somebody who is on OPT and depending on where you are in terms of that grace period. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's one of the places where a lot of people are kind of stuck. Either that 60-day period is gone, or 60-day grace period is gone, or the 90 days or whatever the number of days, depending on where they are in their process, and they still haven't heard from USCIS. So, can one travel with when their F1 is, I mean, when their OPT is still pending? And
so
if
so
they
here's
do, if they can, I mean, people can do whatever they want to do, right? Like just like Heather just said, people can choose to do that. But if you do choose to do that, what kind of things, what kind of documentation can somebody carry around?
Yeah, so here's what I would say, and I'll be very straightforward here. When
Yes, please.
this administration came into office, they made it clear that they will be actively targeting people, right? And they actually announced the type of people, cases, or categories of immigrants that they will actively target. And we've seen this on the ground that, so, and these are the categories that they have indicated. One, people with final removal order. So if you have a final removal order, you are there. You are on their watch list, right? So no question about this. No, if you have a final removal order, don't go to any attorney and ask, am I at risk? Yes, you are at risk because they have multiple times indicated this, that they are actively going after those people. So that's number one. Number two, people with criminal record and who entered without inspection. So entered without a visa, without an admission, and you have criminal record, they will go after you. So and so and this is just me relaying the information. It's on the news, it's on YouTube. So many administration officials have indicated that if you have a criminal record, especially a felony, you enter without inspection or you overstayed your visa, then you are on the list. They're actively targeting those people. And I think something that a trend that's developing right now is visa overstays. We have seen the administration, and we'll also maybe talk about this more in details when we talk about the new USCIS policy on green card applications, right? So at the beginning of this administration, they were kind of like ambivalent about like, whether visa overstays is something that you're cracking down on, or people with visa overstays, or that will be actively targeted. But in practice now, we're seeing that and also reflected in recent policies that they're also trying to target people with visa overstays. And this is what I would say. In the past, right? So, if you overstay your visa, but you end up applying for change of status or adjustment of status, then generally you should be fine, right? As long as you timely, especially if you timely file that application, meaning that you file that application before the status or the visa expired, then you should be good, right? Generally, that's how it used to be. But recent policy, especially the recent policy on green card applications, it shows that the administration is taking a different stance, right? So even if you timely apply for a change of status or adjustment of status or extension of status, but if you overstay your visa, then that can be it's definitely a negative factor in your immigration case, to say the least, right? So that's something that people will need to be aware of, that any visa stay, regardless if you apply for a change of status, extension of status, adjustment of status, it's a negative factor, right? In your case.
Thank you, Mr. Nils. So again, I want to stay here concerning students. I think most of our questions are really coming from students who are currently in this limbo, right? Who are in the immediate limbo, if you will. So yeah, the people, the asylum cases, they are also in limbo, but they are in a different limbo. Where beside outside of the students who are waiting for OPT, or who have applied timely for their OPT, they applied it in the time that they were supposed to apply for it, and they are currently pending. Thank you. They are currently pending. It means that those are the individuals that are kind of where most of the questions are coming from, right? So one of the questions that came up is that, so I'm waiting for either I'm waiting for my OPT, or I am seeing that my F1 visa is about to expire. And is it possible, is it feasible for me to then apply for asylum, for example, and get and put in my asylum case in there, as long as it is within the 1 year. Um, is it possible for somebody to do that? While we kind of generally know that it is possible to apply for any kind of benefits with the USCIS, at the same time, I would like you, either Heather or Mr. Nils, to really talk about this in terms of, can you do it? Absolutely, you can do it if you want to do, but should you do it? Is the question, and sometimes we are trying to do something when I mean, if you have a genuine case, absolutely. And again, I'm going to leave this to Miss Heather to give some guidance, or Mr. Niels to give some guidance on this, because I think people are struggling with that, and then you get also people who are struggling with, well, I'm a past that 1 year and I have a genuine case of asylum, and I'm past that because I was still in my F1. My F1 is still valid, but it's coming to its end. Shall I then go for asylum? And yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about transitioning. If somebody's thinking specifically, I want you guys to talk about the asylum situation, coming from F1 into being an asylum, whether it's within the 1 year or beyond the 1 year.
Yeah. So what I would say is, this is where wisdom comes in. Let's use our wisdom. Don't jump on the bandwagon and just say, "Oh, I'm going to file for asylum." I had a situation where somebody came in with that question. This is what happened. This is where I'm at, and now I'm in danger of, my nothing is working out. And so what I basically had to tell them, which probably, is not good news, because I just said, well, you've got to look at it this way. With all the history of your case, let's say an officer is now looking at it. You filed your asylum. Your case seems dodgy, right? You filed it. And usually when people make those decisions, they don't think about it. They just think, let me just do a quick story. Maybe they get help and then they do this quick story. And they, because they are like, well, I don't have any other choice.
Option.
And I'm not saying that there are people, what could happen is you genuinely are eligible for asylum, but you came for school, and maybe towards the end you were hoping that the situation in Zimbabwe would change and you would go back, and you had all these wonderful dreams about your future in Zimbabwe. And now, maybe it was just, yeah, that's what you were hoping. So, but you did face persecution back home. So you have a genuine story. Now you've got a story that you can, go on and say, you know what, this genuinely happened, and I fear going back to my country because I had hoped that the government would change, and it has not. And the situation, then you take your chance and you're going to file asylum. But don't just file asylum because you've run out of options. Do not do that, because you will find yourself in trouble, and it will be very hard for you to justify, especially right now where the government is now vetting for fraud. You don't want to take that chance and ruin your credibility because you want to stay. You're better off either staying and seeing how things are going to go, or leaving the country if you've overstayed. Let's say maybe your school says, we've deactivated you, for your service record or whatever, then it's time for you to go. If let's say you've got 60 days to, wind up your affairs. I had even somebody come in and say, okay, well, I'm hoping that I might be able to get some other studies after 60 days. So I said, but you'll already be out of status. How are you going to be an F1 student when you've achieved your 60 days? So it's not like once now you're just going to be automatically in status. So be wise about the decisions that you're making. And like I said, we are there to tell you what the law is, what the process is, what the policies are, but we cannot make a final decision for you. I might say to you, you need to leave, but I don't know your full story about what you're afraid of back home. Only you know. But the thing is, you can come to an attorney and your information is going to be confidential. And then we can discuss it. And then I can give you, if I feel that yours is a hopelessly hopeless case, I am not going to say, hey, file for asylum. I'm going to say you need to go back to the country. And then you can start, if you need to come back, you're better off making sure that your immigration record is right so that you can come back when things are, is this administration going to be here forever? I am going to say this, nothing lasts forever. So I've known people, and I think Pastor T told us her story, the UK, story, where, things didn't work out somewhere else. They will, whatever door is for you, it will be there. But don't try and force through a door that is closed. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And one thing I can add very quickly is that, your asylum case follows you. Like, let's say even your asylum case get approved, right? But what you put on your asylum case will follow you through your immigration journey, your whole immigration journey in the US. So, and this is what I mean by that. When you apply for asylum, then after a year, you apply for green card. And in your green card application, they'll ask you questions about things that are related to your asylum case. I had a client a few years ago where in the asylum case they put that they're a member of a political party or a social group. And then when they apply for green card, they ask them the same question, right? And this time they said no. We did not. I've never been part of any political party or any social group. And then now USCIS went back to the asylum case because the law actually allows them to go back to your case, right? So
Mhm.
now the USCIS officer went back to the asylum case and found out the asylum case was frivolous. And when your case is found, when you have a when your asylum case is found frivolous, then that is just a bar to any immigration in the US, essentially, right? And so I also had another one who applied for asylum. And in the asylum case, they mentioned that they were part of LGBTQ, right? And in their naturalization application, about to apply for citizenship, they went to an interview, and this time they were married, to opposite sex, and raised it was a red flag. And the officer went back to the asylum case and investigated the asylum case, and he caused more problems in the person's immigration journey, actually affecting their family members that they were trying to sponsor for a green card. So, you can maybe put together your asylum case very quickly, but just remember that anything you put in your asylum application will follow you even after you become a citizen, because now they're actually revoking citizenship. They've actually moved and have made it clear that the administration might start revoking citizenship. So, your asylum case will follow you in this country the whole time in this country. So that's the point that I was trying to make. Thanks.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And to also reiterate that should you come to that decision, once you have been given all this information, you've met with an attorney, you've come, and even the meeting with the attorney, you need to do everything in a timely fashion. Because even if you are eligible to apply for asylum, if you miss that window, then you have a bigger case to answer to than to make sure that you are doing it within a timely fashion. So you are better off paying that $150, $100, $200, 250, whatever the amount the attorney is paying, is asking for in terms of consultation, and ask as many questions as you can, so that when you leave that, you have at least you are informed enough to be able to say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to run with this asylum, and you're making those decisions in a timely fashion. One of the challenges that I am finding when people are calling to me is that people call when their visa is apply is expiring next month or in 2 weeks or in a couple days. Those kind of eh, I don't know any, maybe, Ms. Eda and Mr. Niels can answer to this. I do not know any immigration benefit that is um, you apply for, and it's addressed, and it's processed within that 1 month period.
Yeah, and the other thing that I also want to say is that, like what you're saying, why wait until last minute? Plan, plan, plan.
Yeah.
When you come in, have, your goals. And another thing that I'm seeing, and it's becoming more and more, is that someone will just, say, hey, can you tell me how I can stay here? They will say it like that. I'm just,
Yeah.
and and then I say, well, I need to know your situation. Do
Right.
you have parents? Do you have I don't know, are you under a certain age that you can be, sponsorable, family based? Okay, what qualifications do you have? Age, whatever, are you an expert at something? The other thing that I'm seeing is a lot of people are going for the EB2 NI, national interest waiver. And we've always encouraged people to apply, but it's really now more difficult. It's really, they are asking for more.
Mm.
So before you waste your money and do premium processing so that you can get a quick decision, because in that you're going to waste your money doing your premium processing, and they're going to send you a whole reply with all the things that they are seeing, and you will have, let's say, even if they give you 90 days, it's not going to be enough. It might seem like enough time, but for what they're asking you, if they're asking you, hey, so do you have partners? Do you have a projection, a financial projection? Do you have employees? And all that stuff. It's, you're saying you're starting an endeavor, your proposed endeavor, So all I'm just saying is plan, plan, plan. There is no, you shouldn't be asking a question, how can I stay? You should be asking yourself the question, do I have the ability to stay? Do I even have it? Because I'm sorry, it might sound cold. Asking if I can stay is like inviting USCIS or the government to actually deport you.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm glad you kind of touched on the premium and the premium processing, because I think there is a misconception that if I do premium processing, I'm more likely to get a favorable response. Premium, and again, you guys can correct me. Premium processing, it just has to do with the time frame that they are processing, not necessarily the decision, whether the decision is going to be always positive. It's just that they are going to get to your case ASAP, right? So one of the questions is that if I do premium processing, I'm waiting, I'm in process, I've already done my biometrics, and now I'm in pending mode, which is where most of the students are, in that pending mode. So is it then worth to uh, get an extension, the 6 month extension? Is it worth me doing a premium processing and hope that the government will change its mind regarding the 39 country ban? Or where do I stand? Or do I just wait the wave and see, since I'm already in pending mode, and just wait and see?
Um, I like you said, Pastor T, you said that people think that going with premium processing means that you will get a favorable decision. It does not mean that. Sometimes, especially right now with everything that is going on, you're probably wasting your money to do premium processing. It sounds cold, but it just means that you might hear bad news sooner than later. Don't say you're gonna hear good news. You're likely, unless
Mm-hmm.
unless here's the caveat. Unless if okay, let's just say travel ban aside, right? Because there's a lot of unknowns right now with whether they. I mean, when it comes to premium processing, they do respond to you quickly, but they might respond with something like, well, you're still from a country that we don't trust, you know, even
Mm-hmm.
though I'm sure they're going to find a way of saying something that is not going to be the favorable decision that you're asking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I would say is before you do premium processing, make sure that all your ducks are in a row. Everything, you've done everything possible. Do not just say, well, I will worry about it when they respond to me. Worry about it before you waste your money and submit your application. Do whatever groundwork, take your time, do not rush, and make sure that you are eligible for whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah. Okay, in the interest of time, I will come back to the questions. If I haven't posed your question yet, I'll come back to it. So please hang tight. But I really did want to pause here a little and give Mr. Nils some time to specifically talk about this the policy regarding adjustment of status and the recent DORCAS court decision. If you could please talk about it in terms of what you feel we need to know, and how what action, if there is any, that we should be taking if we fall, if this thing is impacting us. First of all, who is it impacting, and what change, what are the changes that have come with this adjustment of status? Um, and what exactly is the DORCAS case? In layman's term, okay? We
Yeah.
just want to know how it impacts us.
Yeah.
We don't want to go to law school right now.
Yeah, well, the Dorcas case, I'll start with that, is the case that we were referring to earlier, that lifted up the adjudication pause. So that's the Dorcas case. Now, with the USCIS policy on green card applications, I want to make this, the conversation relevant. So I'll keep it brief, but happy to dive deep if folks have questions. So. First, I should say that this new policy does not apply to people who are applying for green card based on an approved asylum or an asylum approval. So that's a different section of the law. So, this new policy does not affect you. So these new policy affect people who are applying for green card under Section 245 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, and that is mainly people who are being sponsored by an employer or a family member for a green card. So applying based on a family petition or I-130 petition, or an employment-based petition, I-140 petition. Now, um, to get a green card, there are two pathways that you can follow to get a green card, right? If you are in the US, you can apply for adjustment of status, right? You can, if you qualify, you meet the eligibility requirement, you can file for adjustment of status and get your green card that way, again, if you qualify. Or you can apply for an immigrant visa overseas, a US consulate or embassy overseas. You get your immigrant visa, and and that immigrant visa allows you to enter the US, and when you enter the US, then you get your green card in the mail. Usually comes between 30 and 60 days. So those are the two ways that you can get your green card, and this has been the law, the practice since I believe 1950 something, right? So this is a long-standing practice. Now, um, what USCIS is saying in this policy is that, well, there is really only one way to get your green card. And that one way is the immigrant visa or consular processing. So you're applying for immigrant visas overseas. That is the only one way to get a green card, right? And adjustment of status or applying for green card in the US or getting your green card in the US, applying and getting your green card in the US is an exception, right? To the main way to get your green card, right? The immigrant visa processing outside the US. So now the question becomes, how would one then meet that exception, or qualify for that exception, right? Because we know, like, there are thousands of people applying for green card in the US each year, right? So if the only way to get green card is to get it outside the US through consular processing or immigrant visa processing, then how would those thousands of people now would qualify for the exception? Those thousands of people that are in the US applying for green card in the US, how would they qualify for that exception? Now, USCIS has given some insight, and also this is based on something called discretion. I'm not gonna get into that. It's a complex term in the law, but the law gives the administration of the government the discretion on a lot of these applications, including asylum, and I'll explain that in a minute. So. What USCIS is saying here is that, hey, is laying out what they're laying out in this new policy memo is how they will make those decisions, whether someone meets the exception criteria and that they can apply for green card in the US. And what US is saying is that they will be exercising discretion, or in other words, they explain that they will be weighing or balancing positive factors and negative factors, right? And in the policy memo, if you read, they have listed some negative factors, and also a few positive factors that they will take into consideration. And naturally, if your case has more negative factors than positive factors, then it's likely that you get an unfavorable or negative decision or exercise of discretion. If you have more positive factors than negative factors, then it's likely that you get a favorable or positive decision in your case. So now, negative, let's start with negative factors. I mentioned earlier that visa overstay is something that they're trying to crack down on, and visa overstay is actually the big negative factor listed in this policy memo. So if you have overstayed your visa, that will be considered or counted as a negative factor in your case. Now, other things that are obvious, like criminal record, or any like offense, would count as negative factor in your case. Now, positive factors, they've listed a few, which include ties to the community, your involvement in the community, a long and stable employment history. And then they will balance. And then if, again, as I said, if there's more positive factors and negative factor, then you get a positive decision. If there's more negative factors and positive factors, then you are more likely to get an unfavorable or negative decision or exercise of discretion. So as you can imagine, this is complex. I mean, you need to work with an attorney, right? And it's complex because we are also receiving, especially, this is actually retroactive. So it's also affecting pending green card applications. And a lot of our colleagues are receiving, I've actually also seen a few from my clients, requests for additional evidence where USCIS is asking green card applicants to affirmatively provide those positive factors, especially if they find that there is a negative factor in your case, they will ask you to provide positive factors. So some people are receiving requests for additional evidence on their green card applications asking for this. And then, even for people who are going to interview, they will ask you for these factors and then ask you, why would you, why they should allow you to apply for green card in the US. And also other factors include the availability of consular processing or immigrant visa processing, right? If your country, if you're able to get an immigrant visa from your home country, so immigrant consular processing or immigrant visa processing is readily available to you. It's also a factor that they will take into account, into consideration. So, bottom line here is that, as you can imagine, like the whole balance of negative factors and positive factors and exercise of discretion, it's something, complex thing in the law. So you really need to work with an attorney on this. Again, I wanted to be, brief, straight to the point here, but happy to get into the details if there are questions or concerns.
Greatly
And
appreciate.
also, Heather, please add, I think this is a developing policy, so there's so many pieces that we're figuring out. But please feel free to add anything I might have missed.
I think you've gone into quite a lot, and I don't think I've got anything to add. I think you did a good job.
Okay, so I want you to quickly answer this one, and our time is kind of running out. We might have to come back again for another session just to take people's questions and not have any other discussions, just to take questions because we have a lot of questions and we also have other updates that we have not even gotten into yet. On the adjustment of status. Can you please clarify what, because we are hearing different messages, go back home, go back to your country and do your adjustment outside, or am I supposed to stay here? I'm married to an American. I already have submitted my paperwork. Should I now leave? All those type of conversations are happening. Can you clarify on that? Who is it that they are expecting to apply for adjustment of status outside of the country versus inside the country?
Again, as I said, this policy does not apply to people who are applying for green card based on an asylum approval. So that's a very important thing to know. But
No, this
for
one is on marriage. I'm talking about
marriage,
marriage.
so
Yes.
marriage and employment.
Yes.
Well, I would not advise you to leave the country immediately based on this policy memo. Well, I'm not supposed to give like
Yeah, yeah.
personalized or individualized advice here, but if you have a pending green card application, please go talk to an attorney. Don't leave the country immediately. Go talk to
Yeah,
an attorney.
and
So
the only thing I wanted to say is, and like I said, Attorney Nils has done a great job, is that there's a lot, even for us as attorneys, there's a lot of gray areas because one minute they send out this policy and they say, oh, some people, you'll have to do your processing outside, you'll have to leave. And then they turn back and they say, ah, no, So it's not clear. It's really not 100% clear. So as Attorney Neil says, just stay put. You know, if it is a situation where they clearly communicate to you that you need to leave the country, then you leave the country. But if there's no communication, you just don't up and go to your country, because
Mhm.
that's not how it has worked. If
Mhm.
they are putting things in place, they need to be very specific that this is based on this is how it's going to work. But a lot of the reason why it's so frustrating, and I don't know if you'll realize how frustrating it is for us attorneys, is the guidance are very nuanced, you know.
Liquid,
Yeah,
yeah.
liquid and nuanced. it's
Yeah,
it's
true,
not
true.
it's not very clear. And
Mhm.
it almost sounds like I'm taking the bar exam because the bar exam was very nuanced as well. It had these questions where it was, is the dog sitting? Is the dog kind of lying on his back? Is, it's not, like where you have case law and you can say, well, case law says this. That's
Right.
why it's so important when um, we have organizations such as Mr. Neil's organization that can go to the federal court, where we can have proper court decisions that look on, what the Constitution says. These people, I hate to say it, some of the things are just unlawful, you
Mm.
know, and some of the things are have not ever been done, So we're kind of just going through this. So please do
Yeah.
not leave the country. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the H-1B. I want, I'm going to pose this question to one of you can answer the H-1B visa, and then the other one can answer the EB2, or whether people should, I mean, I heard that you kind of touched on it a little bit, the EB2, and how it's not it's not necessarily as clear cut as people would hope it is, but it's still people need some education on that front. And then as far as the H-1B, if you could talk to us about the latest developments, what has happened in that arena, and who is being impacted, what changes or court decisions have occurred recently, and what do these development means to the people that are already holding H-1B visas, or that the ones that are trying to hold the H-1B visas, and what should the people that are trying to get the H-1B visas, what kind of or what should the applicants know prior to applying? So
Attorney Neil, which one do you want to tackle?
For
I
the
mean, I can go.
H-1B, yeah,
Mhm.
no, very quickly, just on the H-1B, I think the only development was the recent development was the court decision that struck down the 100,000 application fee for H-1B petitions. And I should mention here that that fee was only for people applying for H-1B visa outside the US. But the court struck down that fee. I'm not gonna get into the details of that case,
yeah.
but yeah, so that's the recent development there.
And the other thing is just to add on to how, it used to be that it was based off mainly on that lottery, right? Where, it's just pure random lottery. But now they're really prioritizing, high paid positions through wage-based, selection system, you know.
Mm,
So that makes it really hard for, people used to come here and say, okay, I'm going to go to school, graduate, and, get sponsored for an H-1B. And for a lot of people, that's how they manage to stay and eventually get their green cards and, and up to citizenship. But now it's going to be really, really difficult. So, and like Attorney Neil said, there was the judgment for those people that are outside the country where, there was the $100,000 fee.
Mm. Okay. So do you want to talk about the EB2?
The EB2, I think we would need a session,
A
and
session? Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Don't go into it then. If something needs a session, let's leave it alone for now.
yeah. I think because it involves a lot of things.
Okay. All right.
So,
We'll come back to the EB2. We've talked about the green card processing. I want to talk about denaturalization. Uh, Again, this is a concern to most of us, me included. Because I'm a naturalized citizen, and anyone who is a naturalized citizen should also be concerned about this and what it means to us. So when people hear the term, many immediately become fearful. So, could you explain what denaturalization actually means in terms of what they are talking about right now, and what is legally possible, and what is the administration saying needs to be done, and whether or not it has been somebody has taken it to court, and then under what circumstances can one be denaturalized? Perhaps talk about pre pre this current administration and now. This is because those are two different worlds that we are living in. And then what are some of the misconceptions about it?
okay, I'm gonna quickly talk because I've got to leave. But before, it was very rare for denaturalization to take place. But now, because this government is aggressively pursuing denaturalization, but the way that they're doing it is through the civil courts. So it will take time. It's not like they can just come to your door and
And be like,
yeah,
give us back our certificate. You're done.
yeah. It's a process, and it's a civil process. So,
Mhm.
they're looking at mainly, like fraud cases, during the immigration process, concealment of criminal conduct before you are naturalized, national security concerns. I would even say that it could even affect people that are pro-Palestine or something like that.
Mhm.
Hey, what's to stop them from widening the gap? So this is where we just have to be very careful about what we do and what we say. This is not, even if we are naturalized, we're not born here. So we are
Mhm.
always in that danger. So, if you made serious misrepresentations during naturalization, then you could, if they look into the record, as Attorney Nils was saying, you said you were LGBTQ. Now, later on they find that you got married or whatever. Maybe you're already now a citizen. I don't know how, but hey,
Um,
we don't know. I mean, now it's like everybody doesn't know what they're looking at. We don't know. It's like Big Brother is watching you. We don't know exactly how they're using our personal information.
yeah.
So without knowing that, I would just say, just be careful with what you do. But just know that it doesn't mean that they're just going around revoking people's citizenships. It's going to be costly though for them as well to take, every one of us to court and try and revoke our citizen just for they can't do that.
Mhm.
So let's not get afraid.
Mhm.
That's what I'm going to say. And
Mr.
also,
Neil?
the other thing is that they have to meet a higher burden of proof.
Right.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mr. Niels, do you want to add on to that one? Because I have a last question for Heather before she runs out.
No, she covered it very, very
Yeah.
well.
Oh,
Thank you.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Asylum office expansion. Most of us applied for asylum. We are in pending mode and we are waiting. We are hoping to be called. Some of us have already done our biometrics and some of us have done our interviews and we are in pending mode. What does it mean when they say they have expanded this Houston office specifically?
So with the Houston office is they have actually opened another satellite office in San Antonio. So
Mm.
that means that you might find that you are going to have your interview in San Antonio. I know they had opened one here in Farmers Branch in the DFW area, but I know that people were still going to the one in Houston. So the other thing that, because I was traveling, I just found out recently is that lawyers, we used to be able to do telephonic
Interview.
interviews.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yeah, yeah, now you have to be in person.
That's in general.
Yes, unless if there are there are some other circumstances that you cannot be. And that came in May 18th.
So for me, hearing that
Mhm,
as your client, me hearing you say that, what does
mhm.
that mean for me? Whether what does it mean? Is there going to also be a financial burden?
Yeah,
When you charged me your fee, you charged
yeah.
me based on the understanding that you might be able to attend via Zoom, but now you
Mhm.
won't be able. Now you need to come. Does that mean that now the burden is on the client to make sure that you are traveling from Houston to
Yeah,
New Jersey or
the
wherever
burden is
else
on
that
the
case is being?
client. Yeah, because the client has to bear the travel costs.
Mm,
So, it's still something that I only recently found out about it this week when I came back. So I'm still trying to see. I mean, they say that there can be circumstances, but
right.
it's very strange though that immigration court. Like I have a case that was going to be in immigration court, and I got a notification that it's going to be internet, and it's an individual hearing.
Mm,
So I mean, why? Why? It's just confusing because I
yeah.
was prepared to go in person to court, and now they're
Right.
saying, oh, it has to be done through via internet, and they're the ones that are saying that. And the
Mm,
other thing that I just wanted to quickly mention is that they have put in 77 new immigration judges. They have, I think, about five um, just temporary judges. A lot of them are military trained. Some of them have got no immigration training at all. They're coming some from the private sector, but a lot have military training. So
mhm.
that's immigration court for you.
Thank you so much, Heather. And for those of you who have posted your questions in the chat room, please look at them because Ms. Heather has taken some time to actually answer some of those questions. And I will read the answers and the questions after everybody is gone. I mean, after we have closed, so that I can free people, so that is just available on the audio. I will do that. But if there are any other questions that are not answered, let me see.
Yeah, I didn't get to all of them,
Right, yes,
unfortunately.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Mhm. So maybe what Pastor T, what we could do is, as usual, with our chat, if you're able to grab them and then we can answer them.
Yes.
Uh, Pastor T should be able to give you her details, and then you
Mm,
can reach out. I'm sorry, I have to
that's
say
fine. That's
goodbye.
fine.
So thank you, everyone.
Um, I just put in my phone number in here. If your question was not asked, and also if you are not in the Diaspora Women Arise group, I want to encourage you to go there because that's where I would communicate some of these answers. So hit me up on Facebook. I mean on WhatsApp. I just put in my number in there, and I'll be happy to assist. And thanks, Mr. Neil. I've got that link. I will share it with others. And then let me see. Let me just go real quickly into the questions real quick and see if there's one or two that we can answer before we disperse. Thank you, Miss Heather. I know she's already left, but thank you for your time. Hmm. So the EB2, Ms. Heather said we can come back to the EB2 questions and make a session for that. We'll find out when our calendars, the three of us agree, and then we can come back with you guys for the EB2. And then what do I do if my asylum is denied? Ms. Heather has answered that question. Like I said, I'll come back to these questions and ask them. I'm just looking for ones that she has not. Oh, there's one question. Um, Oh, she answered it. The question on dual citizenship, whether or not the US recognizes dual citizenship at this moment. And Ms. Heather said at this moment it does. So if I have a green card and my wife is on pending asylum, what's the best to file for her petition? Should she keep it pending asylum till green card is approved? So this question kind of, Mr. Nils, this question kind of comes in various forms, right? For with this person, they're talking about they have a green card, they are what, and I think that's one of the things that sometimes people may not quite know is that you are by law you are allowed if you are eligible to apply for several benefits where your different cases are going on at the same time. You apply for asylum, you apply for your green card, you apply for whatever you are legally eligible for, not what your friends say you are eligible for, what you are legally eligible for. If you're eligible for asylum, by all means, whether you are doing you have your F1 reinstatement and you now want to do asylum, as long as you are eligible. What is important is to understand that you are actually eligible for what you're applying for. Can you get 2, 3, 4 cases going together? As long as you are, what is the key point is that you are eligible. I don't know, Mr. Niels, if you want to add on to that
I think
or
you're right.
subtract.
Yeah, you're right. I also had a hard stop around 3:30, but
Okay. All right. Yes.
but you're right. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
correct.
Okay, so as always, thank you so much. We always run out of time with these things, but I will read out the questions and then put them out on here. And if there are any other questions that we asked that I didn't get to, if you reached out via WhatsApp, I will make sure that you get your answer. But please, I want to encourage you to make it easier for me. Can you please join um, the WhatsApp group? Let me put the link here so that everybody has it. Mr. Niels, please, by all means, feel free to log out.
Thank you, Pastor T. Thank you, everyone who be in touch. Take care.
Sure,
God
you're
bless.
welcome.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. So, like I said, we are always running out of time. There's so much to be discussed, so many things going on, but we are here to answer the questions that you might have. And also, please, please, before you make any decision, I beg you, at least have a consultation with an expert before you make any decision, because unogona kuita that decision, unogona kumanya nekuti so and so has told you do this and then you do it only to mess yourself up, so even a lawyer cannot help you. You are better off making decisions with clear facts and clear guidance from an attorney. It's so worth it to pay those consultation fees. I know kuti when money is hard, you feel like you're saving money, but at the end of the day, you may actually be shooting yourself in the foot if you don't seek for a proper guidance. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'm right now just going to go ahead and read the questions that have been answered, and the ones that have not been answered, they will be answered via our WhatsApp chat. And also, if you still have questions, which most of us may still have some questions, by all means, feel free to send them to me inbox. I always post them anonymously into the group So don't get concerned about your information getting out where you don't need it to get out. I always post questions anonymously in the group, and then the attorneys will help answer those questions. Okay, so is it possible to process the EB2 within the US? You can if you are still in status, was Miss Heather's response. And then it's larger. What do I do if my asylum is denied? Do I go to court if I was given the date? And the answer is yes, you should go to court, to your court hearing. Otherwise, the judge will enter a deportation order in absentia. So definitely go to court. Don't ignore those letters either. And it's also like Ms. Zeda said, make sure USCIS always knows your address where they can communicate with you. The dual citizenship was answered.
Very nasty. Very sad.
For students, can you please mute yourself? For students, while still in school, can one still travel within the US despite visa expiring, but the I-20 is still valid? And so Heather said, only if it's necessary. If you have to, please travel with your I-20 and also see if your school can give you a letter. So speak to your DSO. Can a US citizen marry someone and will the spouse get a green card without leaving the country if they are in the US? In other words, do people still need to leave the country to adjust status, or that's changed now? And the answer is from Ms. Heather. USCIS has indicated that they would have to leave the country for certain petitions. However, they turned around and said each case would be determined individually. They have not laid very clear guidelines, unfortunately. But as you heard Mr. Nils and Heather say earlier on, garai papo usabude ramba uri muno ungahambi ekhaya nxa uyikuthi umelele i-green card application yakho to be processed, ungahambi ekhaya ugijima ngoba bathe phumanini you apply usekhaya. Okay. What is another question? If one applies for asylum when they are still in status, they go for interview 9 months after filing, their case is granted, they will have issues. Will they have issues when filing their green card? And Ms. Heather said, it all depends on your file and whether they find conflicting information. So just make sure that you remain consistent. Remain consistent in every communication you do with the USCIS. It's always good to remain consistent. Usachinje mpaka in the middle of your story that you have already submitted to them, because whatever you have submitted to them is what they go with. So unless you're working with a lawyer to correct certain things, but generally, is it smart to apply for a PhD program as a contingency plan at the same time applying for OPT? In the case you are denied OPT, that will be on your USCIS record, right? With this thought in mind, and are accepted for a PhD program, are you allowed to continue the program as an F1 student and stay in the US? Will USCIS allow you to continue? What's your advice? And Heather said, discuss your options with your potential school. But the question is, are you genuinely applying for the PhD or just want a means to stay? Iyo imhinduro yawafanira kuzvibvunza nekuzvipindura wega. Okay, I think I have covered all the questions. Can I please have the WhatsApp link again? Sure. Here we go. There you go. I hope you have it. Okay, vanhu vaMwari, please don't suffer alone. Don't speculate. You have a way for a place where you can reach out, ask questions, and ubatsirike. Ubatsirike, don't go by what's happening on social media, bvunza mvunzo wako pa Facebook. There are a lot of keyboard attorneys out there who don't know what they are talking about. So you really do need to reach out. Usazeze to reach out. Nyayako, you bring it to our platform. It will always be anonymous, and we will answer as much as we can and redirect you in the way that you need to be redirected. So a lot of people are fearing the unknown that they have not even vari kutotya kana kutobvunza mubvunzo yachona, but if you don't ask, you won't know. Okay, it's really just important to just ask. I missed the dual citizenship answer. Oh, the dual citizenship is still valid. Yeah, they've been talking about taking it out, but as far as we know at this point, it has not been discussed one way or the other, so it has always been valid. Okay, if there are any other questions, I am going to say adios. Tosangana pa next time, Pastor T. I also came in late. I came in late. What's the best advice for those that have applied for OPT? So the lawyers said, stay put. If you have not heard, if your case is still pending, that's where it is. Just stay put. Versus if they have asked you, if you have received a response and the response is negative, they are saying go home. Miss Heather says go home. Otherwise, yeah, that's where it is. I hope you are answered. Again, remember, this is also recorded, so you'll be able to get into this message and read it. I will hopefully post it before midnight on YouTube, and I'll put the link in the group, in the WhatsApp group. But please, Musafiri Mkati, I don't know how much I can stress this. Musafiri Mkati, yes, it's stressful, and it's very easy also to lose your mind, especially if misinformation is out there. It's so easy to feel alone and feel like there is no hope. But ukataurawo nevamwe, reach out to the right people, unobatsirikana. So please reach out. Okay, God bless you, and it has been a pleasure to serve you, and we'll see each other at the next one, hopefully soon, to just have a session yema questions chete, just a session for questions. Okay, so this person said, is it still possible to process the EB2 within the US with a pending asylum? I think this question was already answered. I believe the question was already answered. Okay. Glory to God, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and tinosangana zvakare pa second half. Have a wonderful day and have a blessed day. And please, 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 please reach out. Reach out. Better uzwe kuti azviite pane kuti ugare uri in limbo. Zviri nani uve ne tangible. Okay, izvi hazvisi kuita. Or you might be scared kubvunza, and then you find kuti wangochingotyika nhandu situation yako inotogadzirika. The problem, like I was saying, is sometimes people come to us when your time yako yakupera, or outside the period that people can actually do something about. Saka, ask now and make a decision after, but ask now. Okay. All right. God bless you people. Mwari wakuite zvakanaka. Until next time.